How to fill out the sellers and buyers contracts step by step. Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man. This is the most recent Flippinar that you will have an opportunity, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, to watch the edited version, the cleaned up version of this particular topic, where I will explain how to use the seller's contract, which is contract A, the buyer's contract, which is contract B, to do a deal. So I'll go through that. You'll also see the question and answering period, which people ask some really good questions, and hopefully I gave some really good answers. So sit back, enjoy this particular Flippinar, stand by, let's get it. Hello guys, this is Ty and welcome to this week's Flippinar. Those that have joined already, welcome aboard. Those that will be on board here in a second, welcome to you. But again, welcome to this week's Flippinar. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I think I got prepped up a little quicker tonight than normal. Just making sure I can at least see the chat room a little bit here on my iPad so I can know you all can hear me. But again, welcome to those that are just joining and those that will join. What will happen is that, and I'll repeat this throughout, hopefully, is that it'll be live. The recording will be on YouTube, then I'll take it down and edit a little bit and put it back up at some point tomorrow. So for those of you that are here, just say where you're from in the chat room and welcome aboard, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll get ready here to somebody said I'm getting started on time. Who said that? Sharon, what's up? Sharon, I think it's what, Dewberry? Yeah, we're getting started on time, Sharon. So boom, there we go. That's what's happening. But again, so let me share my screen so we'll get it going. Next topic: how to fill out sellers and buyers contracts step by step. I have a few contracts explanation or step by step. Step-by-step instructions, but I don't have one where I guess I show you how to do both. I think when I first started doing these Flippinars, I may have done something, but that's not online, I don't think. So here's an opportunity for me to explain. So if you're just joining, again, we started on time tonight. I worked out a few kinks as far as going live on YouTube and being able to do a little prep work, sending out text messages and some Instagram posts or whatever for people to join live. But if you know someone that you think may be interested, just simply tell them to go to Flippinar.com and just tap the banner that says YouTube Live Now, and it'll take them straight to this live stream. Again, we'll go through the live stream here, and then I'll take it down, and then we'll put it back up for the edited version. So you can take out a lot of the ahs and ums that I have, which I still have a lot of them, but I'll eliminate some of that, and it just will be a smoother transition for people that are not watching it live. Because before I started, I had a little dead space there, just prepping. So again, so it'll come down, then it'll go back up. So if you want to tell someone to join, just simply send them a text or email or social media, or DM them, and let them know to go to Flippinar.com, and they can join us live, and they'll be able to ask questions and whatnot. I actually got a picture, text message somebody sent me a picture of one of the people when I was giving away the free course, which I'll probably do it at some point in the future. But they took a free course and with no coaching, and they did their first deal. She was very excited. I was excited for her. So that's what's happening. So, but again, so we're going to get started. How to fill out seller and buyer's contract step by step. I'm going to show you how to use the seller's contract and the buyer's contract, which you'll see there, the actual same agreement, but they're just filled out differently. And you'll see how that puts your deal together, helps put you together. And hopefully that'll answer a lot of questions for people, because I guess people don't know, and I get a lot of text messages or comments on my videos, and they ask questions. Don't ever think I'm being rude with you, text me or something. And I have bad days just like anyone else. But a lot of times it's not that I'm having a bad day, by no means. Is that if I have videos on it, I'm normally going to refer you to those videos, because most people say, well, I got one question. You know, it's hard to answer one question without another question coming up. Again, I put my phone number out there, so hey, that it is what it is. But I'm going to refer you to the mountain of content that I offer free that will actually give you more time to explain it than what I will if you're not an actual student. So again, I don't mind the calls or whatever, but generally speaking, the numbers out there for people to find out if the free videos are not enough, you know, what about the coaching or whatever, and I can answer questions about that. So, but again, I put my number out there, so it is what it is. All right, so we'll go ahead and just to let you know that I'm on iTunes now. For those that have iPhones or Apple products, you can download my my videos and in the podcast area of iTunes. So you can podcast my information. Now, I don't have all my entire library there. It's going to take some time for me to upload everything. But over the next few months, I'm going to try to have everything above. So everything that's on YouTube should be on iTunes at some point in a podcast format. So obviously we know how to use a podcast. You can use without internet service if you download the actual podcast that you're interested in. Obviously, you want to subscribe to my podcast, because whenever I upload new stuff, you should be alerted. I'm going to get it on Stitcher for Android users. Just hadn't figured out how to do it yet, but I'll eventually get, you know, those over there too. So just giving you other options where when you podcast, you don't need internet access to listen to it if you download it to whatever device you're using, whether it's an Android or an Apple product. So right now it's just on iPhones and iPads, just Apple products, but I'll get it over to Stitcher here in the next week or so, which will allow Android users to download them. So just to get out the way, the disclaimer, most people know you won't make $10,000 or $10 or 100,000, whatever the number is, if you don't do anything, just to get that general earnings disclaimer out of the way. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. You see the handles here, flipman.net on Instagram, the Flipman on Twitter. You want a free copy of the one-page contract that I've used for more than 14 years at the date of this video, then text the word contract to 313131. Text the word contract to 313131. People ask for it, I'll deliver it. If you want me to come to your city for coaching, it's available. Training in your city, just call or text me for the pricing. Be happy to share that information with you. Honestly, it's more than what I charge for the online training, which comes with coaching. But if people want it, they're willing to pay the freight. Flipman is willing to come. If you're interested in the commercial real estate, flipthisbuilding.com, wholesaling commercial, low competition, virtually, meaning you can sit at your laptop, target the entire country. There's a sea of opportunity, because you do have the entire country that you can target. No cash or credit is needed. Big fat paydays. It's commercial real estate. That's where the big boys play. So flipthisbuilding.com. Tonight and every Thursday night, my goal is to introduce you to wholesaling, whether you know anything about real estate or you are seasoned in the game with real estate. But that's my goal, is to educate you on what wholesaling is and how I feel it's a great entry point and introduction into real estate investing, which will allow you to make money, even make mistakes, but it doesn't put you out of business. Maybe a little embarrassment, but the embarrassment is free, but those lessons can be invaluable. So what is wholesaling? Wholesaling is a form of flipping houses, except the time frame is much shorter and no repairs are made to the house before the property is purchased. A wholesaler enters a purchase and sales agreement with the seller and then assigns the contract to a cash buyer for a hefty assignment fee. Here's an actual example, some numbers. Example, we'll say a house will appraise for $100,000 in excellent condition. We call that ARV, after repair value. But don't get it confused with repairs and value. Simply what it means is that what will the house appraise for in excellent condition after it's fixed up, after the repairs are done. For whatever reason, you can get a house under contract for $30,000 with the seller. And you can get it under contract for $30,000 with the seller. It may be relocation. It may be it may need 2-minute repairs. It may be tired of being a landlord. It can be any number of things, but they're motivated to sell and sell at a significant discount. Okay, so you place it on a contract with the seller. So you market for a buyer, all right? Put it out there at $45,000. You have a buyer that steps forward, say, hey, they went out and you videoed the property, sent them the YouTube link. They went out and actually viewed the property physically live, and they call you back, text you back, say, hey, I can't do 45, but I can do 41. All right, I'm going to agree to that amount. So the buyer says that he could close in 10 days or as soon as you can, as soon as you can get a clear title. So you set up a closing. So whenever you close on the property, the seller gets, you have contract A with the seller for $30,000 and contract B for $41,000 with the buyer. All right. So whenever you close on the property, the seller gets their $30,000 as agreed upon, and you get the difference, which is $11,000, which is your fee. Okay. So that's basically a wholesale transaction. You get the difference between contract A and contract B. So is this something that you should be doing? I have a couple examples here. This is one of my YouTube subscribers, not an actual student. I got a student here. I need to change that the next go around. But he took advantage of my 200 plus videos, and he found this deal through direct mail. He was doing bandit signs and direct mail. From my memory of the interview that you can check out on my YouTube channel with Chris out in California. He explains how he did it, but he picked up this property. He picked up this property and he put down a $10 earnest money deposit in California with my contract, the one page that I use. Basically, within 30 days, he found a buyer and wholesaled the property, and the final take was $21,500. I think he split it with a partner, but the total take was $21,500. All right. If you just do return on investment, which ROI is short for that, that's over 200,000% as a return on investment. That's an unbelievable number. Student in Baltimore, this is an actual student, found his deal through bandit signs. He split $32,000 with a partner, and if you do the return on investment with the $1 money that he gave the seller, the return on investment is over 3 million%. Now, obviously, you can make money buying, fixing, and then retailing, and the return on investment is good. But if you're going to compare the two, basically on the return on investment, there's no comparison. It's just not. There's the risk that involved. There isn't. But obviously, again, both you can make money with. But if you're going to compare wholesaling to basic flipping, there's no comparison if you got that machine running like a well-oiled machine. Who am I? Uh, at some point, I decided to brand my little channel and call myself the Flip Man. My name is Ty, but I'm an entrepreneur first. Real estate is one of the couple of ways I've ever been able to make any real money. But not one of these that has always been an entrepreneur. I didn't grow up selling lemonade or newspaper or garbage bags door to door like I think Mark Cuban was doing as a youth. I was a late bloomer, my early 20s when I was in college. I got the bugs from somewhere. I'm not even sure. I often think about that. I think I figured it out, but I'm still not sure. But I had to bring one of the first things I ever actually pulled the trigger on. Had the brilliant idea that I would take my student loan money and start to buy some of my student loan money, and start a used car dealership and become a millionaire. All right. So I got a dealer's license, an actual dealer's license from the state of Alabama. Then I started going to actual auto dealer auctions where you can only go there if you come with a dealer or you are a dealer. So they have hundreds of cars out there. Cars could be 10 or 15 years old and they'll look like they're brand new. But the problem is they'll look brand new, but they will be a total piece of junk. So if you're not mechanically inclined, you won't last long in that business. And that was me. I didn't last long in that business. I used to love going to the auctions, but I didn't know what that I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing in reality. Cars look good, maybe a particular type of car that I like. I bought it. If I knew what the price should have been or whatever, I just wanted to make, a few $100s off of it. I couldn't even accomplish that. A lot of times I was losing a few hundred. I never did get killed, but there's no reason to do it if you're not making any money. So I was out of that business. So fast forward to that was the early 90s. So fast forward to 1995, went to Black Beach weekend in Daytona. My brother, two of my cousins, and one of my brother's friends, we loaded up in a Toyota Camry, and we drove down there from Mobile, Alabama. One of my brother's friends met us, that was from Orlando, met us there, and the way he made his living, he had a mobile car wash. As a matter of fact, I seen a guy the other day when I was getting ready to do some stuff out in the street with some of my guys that market for me, and he had a mobile car wash, and I was like, wow, man, he had his truck painted up well, professional. I was just thinking about it. I had that baby blue passenger van that the seats were taken out. But anyway, so my brother's friend, he said he had made six figures the first couple of years that he had been doing it, six figures each year. So I couldn't wait to get back to Birmingham. So I purchased that baby blue van for $900, bought a 100-gallon water tank and a pressure washer with a sign to promote myself when I was on location. Boom, I was in business. Started going to barbershops, beauty salons, places of employment with people that I knew. And that spring and summer, we were getting it. And it went well. But then the fall hit, late fall. And when you wake up 40, 50-degree mornings, which I know that's not cold in a lot of areas, but that's cold here, the water and those temperatures just didn't mix with the Flip Man. So I was out of that business. So fumbling around with some multi-level marketing stuff over the next few years. And fast forward to 2002, October to be exact. Matter of fact, I talked to that friend today. A friend and a friend and his now wife were going to school to become real estate agents. The guy that normally taught the class was absent in the substitute. He didn't talk about being an agent. He talked about investing in real estate, but creative ways with no money down of investing in real estate. So my friend knew that I had the entrepreneur mindset or whatever, how I was. So he mentioned some of the stuff to me. I didn't act on it at that time, but what I did do, fast forward to a couple of months later, I was at my mom's house for Christmas, December 27th to be exact. I just remember this. I'm pretty good at dates. And I was up early waiting on her to prepare breakfast. And I was flipping some channels and found one of Carlton Sheets, no money down infomercials. And it didn't tell you anything, like most of them don't. I made this much money. I made this much money. I made this much money. how did he make the money? So I watched about it was middle ways through the infomercial. They were normally 30 minutes long. So I went up to dial and watched one of them, basically the same thing from beginning to end. And again, it didn't tell you anything, but it made me think he can't be lying about all of this. So that back then, my mom didn't have internet. So I got back to Birmingham and I did a search I posted a message on this entrepreneur message board that I used to frequent and asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? And only one person replied, and they were like, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand has a better course. And so I did a search for Ron's name, found his website. He had a quick turn real estate course. I think that was the title of it. And it cost $1,500. Back then, that was a month's salary. I made a little more than that, but not much more. So basically check to check. And so they had a condensed version of it for $69.99, $80 for shipping. So I ordered that, got that, and all it was teasers to let me know, hey, this is something that you can do. And I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I made up my mind if I had to get a second job, I would, to save that $1,500 to buy the courses. And so I thought about it a couple of days later. I thought about eBay a couple of days later. I did a search for his name, and boom, that same course was out there on a couple of auctions. So I bid it on the auction. I lost. And the guy that was running the auction, and as I always say, you could do that back then on eBay, he sent me an email saying, hey, you lost the auction, but would you like a CD or a burnt version of this course? So we agreed upon $400. I sent him the money, said the course, and boom. I went from zero, not knowing anything about real estate. I'm talking about nothing about real estate, to I was on information overload. It included wholesaling, lease options, subject to retailing, which is buy, fix, and flip, and another module I think called for sale by owner. Wow, it just went from just a wealth of knowledge from not knowing anything to a wealth of knowledge, but it was just too much. But if I didn't get anything out of all that information, what really attracted me were basically three things: the wholesaling, the lease options, and that bandit signs could make this happen for me, because I'm not a networker. I'm not someone that's going to knock doors. I'm not going to reach out for business in pretty much no sense. You know, I know what my weaknesses and what my strengths are, and I'm very weak at that. But if I can get people to call me asking for something, then I'm in my wheelhouse. I can handle that. And so that's what bandit signs or just marketing in general will do for me. So I ordered some bandit signs, I overpaid for them. I spent $250 on 50 signs, didn't know any better. And I got them back on a Friday, and I started putting them out on a Sunday morning. That Monday, the very first two calls that I received were deals. One of them was a lease option opportunity, and the other one was a wholesale opportunity. The lease option opportunity was the owner. His mom passed and left him a house, but he still had a mortgage on it. He didn't live in the house. The house that he lived in also had a mortgage on it, so he couldn't afford to make two payments. All right, so that's another reason people can be motivated: two payments or multiple payments. And so I explained to him that, hey, this house wouldn't qualify for a cash purchase, which would have been a wholesale deal, but it would for a lease option. And I broke it down to him that I would take over the payments, and what will happen is I'll place a tenant buyer in there who would actually make the payments, and I may get $100 or $200 over whatever the payment amount is to the mortgage company. And within 1 to 3 years, they would cash him out of the deal, and he'll be relieved of the debt. But I'll also get a down payment, a non-refundable down payment that goes 100% to me. So he was cool with that. He just wanted that extra payment off of him. So I advertised the property. This lady stepped forward. She wanted to move her family in there, single family mom. And she had the $5K that I wanted, $5,000. So I met her at an old Charlie's on Parkway East. I think I used to say Center Point Parkway, but Parkway East. It's not there anymore. Mexican restaurant is there now for your Birminghamians. At that old Charlie, she gave me 50 $100 bills. Most money I had ever had in my hand, you know, outside of a tax return check, as I said before, which those were the days. And boom, I I was blown away. This stuff works. So, but it gets better, and actually it gets worse. But so the house needed a few repairs, and to create a win-win, the guy that owned the property, he was a handyman. Through our conversations, I discovered that. So I recommended to her to allow him to do the work. She asked me, did I know anyone to do the work? So I recommended him. You know, I'm just trying to put a little extra money in his pocket. Okay. He also wanted to refinance his house. One of the guys that I worked with, I still had a full-time job back then. And he did mortgages on the side, a guy I worked with, a coworker. So I put the owner of the property and my coworker together to do the refi on his property that he lived in. Okay, through their just general conversation, he's like, man, that house going well with Ty. He already has a tenant for it, and she's already given $5,000 down. What did he tell him that for? This guy, he felt that if he didn't deserve half of that $5K, all of it. I'm sure it was because of whatever financial issues he was having, but he still was a clown. So when he was supposed to meet the tenant buyer at the house to discuss the repair, she showed him what she wants done. He came over there like a bull and told her to get off his property. Tyrone did not own it, and he was going to call the police. Of course, the lady had felt like she had been scammed. She called me crying, saying, you know, what happened? You know, I thought we had a deal, blah, blah. I told her wherever she was, I was going to bring her money, just give me X amount of time. I had already spent about $700 of that money. Not sure where I came up with it, but, you know, at that time, I didn't just have 700 lying around like that. So I met her and gave her money. Through the discovery, through conversations with my coworker, I found out that the owner of the property was a minister. So he and I called him. He and I got into a heated discussion, and I just made the comment to him. I don't know if you're a pastor, I feel sorry for the flock that you're leading or something. I don't remember what I said, but whatever it was, it really insulted him. And so and both of them cursing each other. I either minister them or whatever. We were saying some other stuff. So after I made that comment, he made the comment, if I ever see you again, it won't be pretty. I don't even know what the guy looks like. Now, you might probably remember what I saw. It might still, that threat may still be, may still be in play. So anyway, so that deal blew up in my face. So I could have quit then. You know, I was like, this is some crap. This mess is not going to work. But I was fortunate. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have this in the play. I really don't. I often wonder that. I had the other deal. The other call that I received was two sisters. Their mom had passed, left them a property. Like a lot of people, we're not going to sell mom's house. We have a lot of memories there. And but after they were going to rent it out or whatever, their family members, whoever. So after renting it out for a couple of years and people not paying them, tearing up the property and so on, they were tired landlords, as I often preach about. They were tired landlords. They were motivated landlords, motivated sellers. So they called me. We agreed upon $20,000. I'm not even sure how I knew that was a deal back then, because that was still early on in the game for me. So we agreed on the $20,000. And damn, got dogged, I forgot again. I showed up in my 1985 Toyota Celica white convertible. And somebody tried to send me a picture of it. They sent me a 96, like it's an 85. And anyway, I love that car, but you know, it was what, 18 years old at that point, but that didn't faze them. They thought I actually had the money with me when I was coming over just to sign the contract. And I explained to them, it doesn't work that way. So, you know, they were cool with that. So I advertised the property, got a few calls, and this agent called me, this real estate agent called me, said he had a cash buyer that buys in that area. And he would be willing to pay $25,000. So remember, I had it in the contract for 20. So we agreed on the 20, but the agent said in order for us to do this deal, I explained to him that I was in a wholesale position. He said that he needed half of that $5,000 I would have made. So I was cool like that. So what's half of zero? Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. So meaning don't be greedy. Plus, it was my first deal, and $2,500 was a lot of money, and still is a lot of money, but definitely was a lot of money back then. So I met them at a shopping center parking lot. They gave me $500 earnest money. We signed an agreement. 10 days later, we closed at their closing attorney, their actual closing attorney. So I didn't know any title company, anything, but that's why I know, and I was trained that way, is that don't worry about a title company. People, I have students, I had to talk to a student today. I said, man, I didn't train you to do that. He was calling title companies, I guess he was trying to see if I knew what I was talking about. They're not going to know what you're talking about, man. Because they might do them all day, but you don't never know who you get on the phone. And it's not important, again, because if you have a solid seller and a buyer in place, getting your deal closed is, and I don't like to use the word easy, but that's easy. All right, but normally you're just going to piggyback off the relationships that your buyer has, in most cases, because you're dealing with a seasoned buyer. Not always, but in most cases. So we closed the deal, and I made $2,500 on that first deal. And the seller was elated for me. How much did you get, Taylor? You know what I'm saying? Like that. They were happy because they got the money that we agreed upon. They didn't care, I'm not saying everybody's going to be like that, but for the most part, man, people, they get what you agreed upon out the deal. They know you're not doing it for free. So double closing and all that stuff, I don't worry about that, especially on the buyer side. I don't even want to deal with no clown that cares about that. So anyway, that's me. That's who I am. Small town guy you see on the screen. I'm definitely no smarter than you are. Born and raised in Bama. I'm in a larger market than what I grew up in, obviously. But what I discovered, and you will discover it, most people think the hard way, is that you need a lot of money to start. You need a real estate license. Think you need to have it all figured out. If you're a book reader, most books are not going to be detailed enough to do this business. Tired of your job, taking business classes. I went to college, and not saying not go to college, won't give anything from it, but it didn't teach me anything as far as entrepreneurship, especially not real estate. It's going to be very few colleges that are going to do that. Maybe Stanford, maybe Harvard, places like that, but who can afford that? So, and then going to seminars. I get so many calls from people that have just went to a seminar, paid a few $100s for the 3 days, not hating on them, just telling you what comes to me. And they don't still know anything. And then I guess they try to do some secondary research, and they run into me, whatever, and see, hey, God, this guy's getting away more than they gave when I paid. Boom. So anyway, so seminars, because even after I started doing deals, I was still going to seminars. I was trying to find a different edge, and I realized these guys don't know more than me or whatever. So anyway, but I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not the only game in town. It is what it is. As I tell people, a guy asked me about, do I have a contract that I use between me and him and that I'm going to do this? I say, man, hey, if my 200 videos don't speak for who I am and what I got to offer, all the information I give away, I'm probably not the guy for you. It's that simple. Not being sarcastic. I'm just letting you know that, hey, I'm not going to be interviewed and all this stuff. And my free information doesn't say, what my sincerity is and what my intent is, then I'm probably not the person for you. So, and then the last thing is the information overload. Been there, done that myself. But with all that being said, with all the faults that I may have, I'll take action, and that may separate that. As I said, I may not be smarter than you. Where I live probably is not a better market, but what probably is the difference is just taking action and not being afraid to make a mistake. Still make them. I try to avoid them like anyone, but that's not going to prevent me from moving forward on pretty much anything at this point. No number scares me. Guy called me about a $17 million property the other day. Initially, I was like, I don't have that kind of bread. So I don't even have that kind of proof of funds of bread, but it may possibly be a deal or whatever. A couple of days later, some things change. If we can put that together, you'll hear about it. I'll be giving you all that opportunity like the other deal, which is still available. So boom, the numbers don't scare you. Your knowledge and you're confident in what you're talking about, that is so powerful, especially in this business. So We're going to get to why you are here, how to fill out sellers and buyers contracts step by step. I'm assuming you guys are still with me. Again, I appreciate everybody that has made it this far. And what we'll do is, again, is that I'll take this down whenever the Flippinar ends. Some people go to the link and they'll probably see something old or whatever. And if you're seeing this months later or whatever, or weeks later, that's what happened. But so it'll come down. I'll edit it a little bit and put it back up because, these videos just stay up, years later or stuff. So I try to make it the flow as easy as possible. So how to fill out sellers and buyers contracts step by step. So we're just going to dive right into it. All right. Now, what you're going to get here is you're going to get actual both contracts here, and I have them already filled out. Hopefully I didn't make any mathematical errors. If I did, I'm sure you guys would be happy to point it out to me. But with the example that I use is that $30,000 example of the house that was $100,000, and the ARV is $100,000, but you can get it for $30,000. That's basically the example that I'm using, and then you wholesale it for 41. All right, so obviously this is today's date, the 30th of March, 2017. So if you're seeing this in 2020, this is the date this was done on. So, all right, so the first section, I'm just gonna go through the parts that matter. I'm not gonna read through the entire contract, but basically the parts that matter, and people, you get tied into the details. And that's why the contract is one page to simplify it. You're doing these cash transactions, you're buying as is, it just eliminates all the other stuff that's not needed. Most of the other stuff and much longer contracts, a lot of times just to cover the brokers, more so than the sellers and the buyers. So anyway, so between the sellers, I just put Mr. and Mr. Seller, that's obviously who that is. And then buyer, you the wholesaler, that's obviously who that is. The actual street address is 123 Flip Drive, Cashville, Mississippi, 39300. I'm not sure if that's a real zip code or not, so don't look it up. County is Banks. Not sure if that's a real county in Mississippi, but just for the sake of this video. Then the property is sold as is. All right, you see I have a $10 earnest money here. This is not fiction, this is real. Sometimes I will do 50, sometimes I do 100. Normally it's not more than that, but normally it's 10 bucks. All right, so I normally don't subtract that from a small amount such as 30,000, but I am for the sake of just keeping everything clean here in the explanation. So cash to sell at closing, I guess I need to highlight this. So cash to sell at closing is $29,990. Existing loans and liens, whether they have something or not, it won't matter because it'll come out in the title work. I put NA. New loan to sell at closing, I put in there. I really could take that out, all those contracts, but they've always been there, so it's no big deal. And then the actual purchase price, as I mentioned before, is $30,000. $30,000. I think somebody just texted me that 85 Toyota Celica convertible. I wish I could put it on the screen. All right, but so its purchase price is $30,000. So look at this verbiage right here. Buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. All right, so you're agreeing as the wholesaler, you're the buyer with the seller. You are the buyer here on this contract with the seller, but you are agreeing to pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, and liens. What that simply means is you'll pay the title work and you'll pay the closing attorney fees. Now, in reality, you won't pay that, but for the sake of contract A here, this is what's needed. All right, so the taxes, mortgages, and liens, normally the seller is going to pay those. So everything is negotiable. Sometimes you may have to pay some of that to make the deal work. I've done that in the past. Now, it can be a deal breaker also, but if it's within reason, just as an example, you may be making, we'll just say $12,000 off the property. And the seller owes, we'll just say $3,500 in taxes. And the seller says, hey, I want this amount for it. And in order to make the numbers work, you may say, hey, well, I'll pay $1,000 of the $3,500, and they're cool with that. So instead of you making 12, you make 11. So my question is, well, I want my 12. Well, the way I look at it, am I going to allow $1,000 to prevent me from making $11,000? The answer is no. Again, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Don't be greedy. Move on to the next deal. Take that 11K, move on to the next deal. All right, so it says earnest money is not refundable. Then the balance due to seller, so that's the same as here. Those numbers should always be the same. Cash to seller at closing, and then balance due to seller, the same. It should always be the same, $29,990. And then shall be paid, I say just full payment. You can put a lot of different things there, but full payment. All right, omit number 4, because basically that's saying is the appliance and all that stuff will be working, but you're buying the property as is, so you omit that. So closing date and transfer of title. So I said April 29th. So that's roughly about 31 days from March 30th, what you see up here at the top, March 30th. All right, so then the rest of it says closing will be held at, and it says TBD, to be determined, which means, and I basically say we close with several different people, so I'll let you know where we're going to close it, because you know where you're going to close it in a lot of cases. So it's just to be determined. So people always ask you the get out of contract clause or get out of jail clause. In reality, them keeping the earnest money handles that for you for the most part. But that guy that taught the class, the day my friend was, when he and his wife were going, well, now wife were going to school to become realtors, the guy that substituted, he offered this particular verbiage here. Item number 10 or paragraph number 10, the liability shall be limited to the property itself and shall not extend beyond. Basically, if you don't buy it and the contract expires, it can't extend beyond the property itself. Now, does that prevent someone from suing you? No, it does not. People can still sue, but the law should be on your side. That's the best I can give you on that. I never had any issues with it. All right, so go down here to the signature part of it. Mr. Seller signs, Mrs. Seller signs, they date it. You, the wholesaler, under the buyers, and you date it. Okay, so boom, that's contract A. All right. So let's go down here to contract B with the actual for the buyers. All right, so your buyer stepped forward and said they will pay the $41,000 from the example that I gave earlier in the Flippinar. All right, and you did this on April 5th, which is basically about 6 days from March 30th. So April 5th is the date. Now you look here, guess who now is a seller on this same exact agreement? You know, obviously there's a new page filled out, but it's the same agreement. And remember that even though a lot of buyers will be okay with this contract, but sometimes they'll send you over their own contract. The terms just need to be in your favor to allow you to do what you normally do. But a lot of cases, they like this contract because it's so clean or whatever. But so we're assuming they're going to be okay with this contract. So now you switch places from being the buyer to the seller. You, the seller. People say, where's your assignment contract, Tyrone? This is the way it's done. This is the way I do it. Instead of me marketing an assignment fee, I market a price. See, I had it on the contract for $30,000. And they agreed on 41. We agreed upon 41,000. So what if I ever had it under contract for $1? That's a ridiculous amount, but they don't know what I have it under contract for. All he knows is that the 41,000 works for him. But if I was promoting a $15,000 assignment fee, which was the difference between 45,000 and 30,000, then he's going to try to negotiate how much he know I'm trying to make on a deal. That's just a different type of negotiation. He may have think, say, $2,000 would be good for you. You know what I'm saying? He may have been comfortable saying that, but we didn't negotiate that way. We negotiated based on a price that's going to work for him, and whatever I make in between that, you know, that's mine. So that's why that's done that way, and that's why another purchase and sales agreement is used versus just an assignment agreement. So when people ask me, say, "Can I get that assignment agreement?" You didn't hear it. You've never heard me say I use one. I have a video out there explaining how to fill out an assignment agreement, but I make it clear in there that I never use it. I just put it out there for those people that want to use it. So I use the same contract, or they both are purchase and sale agreement. It may not be the B contract may not be my contract because the buyer may want to use what they want to use. and I just have to agree to it, but it's still going to be two-person sales agreements. Okay, so you see, so I'm the seller, the buyer, the cash buyer is the buyer. Those I didn't use end buyer, can't stand the word. The cash buyer, the investor. That everybody knows what that is. All right, so the street address is 123 Flip Drive. All of that's still the same. So all of this right here is still the same. All right, so now we get down here to the earnest money. Okay, so we agreed upon $41,000. I'm not accepting $10. I know I'm serious. I need to know that they're serious. And the way that I need to know that they're serious is this $1,000 earnest money. Now, they may not give it to me, but I need to verify where it is. And that's still gonna be a little tricky. So, that's part of the game. You still need to be able to verify with their closing attorney, their title company or escrow company or whatever. So, but $1,000 is the minimum on a property in this price range. Okay, so you subtract the 1,000 from the 41, at least 40,000 at closing to sell at closing. As I said, existing loan, NA on both of those. Okay, then the purchase price is 41,000. So you said, well, am I going to pay the closing costs? So this is when the closing cost is normally shifted to your buyer, because this says the same thing it does on the buyer, on your seller's contract. Buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid tax and mortgage or liens. Most cash buyers already understand that they're going to pay closing costs. Now, some will be a little sticky there, and everything is negotiable. They may want you to pay half, so I'll pay it. So closing cost may be $1,500, $750. I'm gonna make 11,000. So instead of me making 11,000, I'm using this as an example. Then I make $10,250. Okay, but I'll take that. Okay, so and then plus if there's a strong buyer, no question, I'll take it. So again, the balance due to seller is $40,000, which is sure, as I said, match here and here for payment. All that's the same as on the other contract except the amounts. The omit over number 4. Okay, now here we go right here. All right, now see, the original date was April 5th, and I'm only giving him 10 days to close, April 15th. 10 total days, including weekends, 10 days to close. I'm not going to give him 30 days like I see 30 days. Number one, because you'll run out of time in most cases. If they're serious, there's no reason they shouldn't close in 10 days unless there's a title issue. You don't want to hear anything beyond that. There's no reason it should close within 10 days when it's a title issue. Now, sometimes it may take a little longer, but it should be in that range, because if they're using hard money, that process may be longer than 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, but that's fine as long as you're comfortable that they're dealing with someone and they're going to be able to get the money. But you can't allow a buyer to tie up your property too long. You just can't. Those are some of the mistakes that I've continued to make over the years, trusting people. That's my natural, just my nature. But you get burned enough, you stop doing that. But the worst thing you want to do is to allow a buyer to top your property. You don't want to do that. Trust me. Okay, so again, April 5th, April 15th, only 10 days. All right, so everything else the same. So you flip again, you're the seller, so you the wholesaler, signs dated, cash buyer signs dated, and boom. Okay, you have both of your agreements in place. You have a deal. Earnest money in place, you have a deal. Hey, that's the name of the game. Those are two beautiful pieces of literature there. When you see both of those contracts in place, especially if it's going to net you an $11,000 payday. So that's a wholesale transaction. So we're going to get into some numbers here, some earning potential. So say you did one deal per month, and you average $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. In some markets that may be 15 to 25, Southern California, parts of Florida, New York City, whatever, but just for the sake of most of the country, a conservative number is $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. So you do one deal a month, that's 12 a year, $60,000 to $84,000. Step up to 2 deals, $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. That's 24 deals in a year. That's 120 to 168. 5 deals per month, That's $5,000 to $7,000 per deal, 60 deals in a year. That's $300,000 to $420,000 per year. They know your name at the bank now. Hi, Mr. Taylor, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? Again, remember, we're going to get to the question and answer part of the Flippinar. But remember, you can download, you should be able to download this one here over the next couple of days, or listen to it on iTunes. As I said, for Android, I'll have it on Stitcher, which is a podcasting service for Android. Should have that going in the next week or so. But I'm slowly trying to place my pretty much entire YouTube channel on these two platforms where you can listen to me and my information wherever. And don't forget to subscribe to that channel. Remember the 200 plus videos I have here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, my YouTube channel, turn on the notifications to be alerted when I upload new videos and when I go live on YouTube. Remember, you can call or text me. You see the number here about my courses and coaching if the 200 plus videos are not enough. Get a copy of my free contract, text contract at 313131. Text contract at 313131. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You see the handles here, flipman.net for Instagram, TheFlipMan for Twitter. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the notifications for new uploads and when I go live. If you need real proof of funds, simply go to realpof.com, submit your phone number. The next page, Keith Yackey will explain exactly what you're getting and how you can use the service if you're going to deal with real estate agents. This is the only way they're going to take you serious. PrivateMoneyList.net, the name speaks for itself. Go there, submit your number again. Keith will explain what you're getting. Boom, PrivateMoneyList.net. So let's stop the screen sharing. We're going to get to the question and answering period. And let's go. So if you posted a question before, you probably need to post it again because I couldn't see the chat while I was going through my spiel here. So we're on the question and answer period. So let's rock and roll. Let's see what we got here. All right, so Monica says, so how do you collect your money if it says $40,000 to the seller? Well, remember I had two contracts. I had one for $30,000 and I had another one for $41,000. The $40,000 is really $41,000. The $1,000 earnest money was put up, so it'll be $41,000. So whenever you go to close on it, the way the HUD-1 statement, which is basically the statement that details who's paying what, who's getting what. And it'll detail that I'm getting an assignment fee for $11,000, which is the difference between the two contracts. What I do is I send over a closing detail document to explain, again, who's the seller, who's the buyer, the address of the property, the price, the purchase price, which is the $30,000, not the $41,000, the assignment fee that will be paid to me, what earnest money has been submitted, who's paying the closing costs. So that's how that's done. All right. Do the buyers ever have do the buyers expect you to have the title work, prepare the ARV and things like that prior to them agreeing to buy? Most buyers you have to think about it now. These people have to verify and do their own due diligence. They're not just going to trust what you say. There's some real DAs if they just trust what you say. So that's going to rarely be the case ever. But you have to know also, those things to know if you have a deal or not. So they're going to do their due diligence. You're going to do yours. They may ask you what you think about the repairs or what you think is valued at, but they're still going to do their own due diligence. Winston says, have you wholesale land? Is the process the same? How do you find buyers for land? No, I have not. Well, I think I've done something, but that was more by accident. It was by accident. So, but I can just tell you this: in reality, if you can find someone that wants some land, it'll be easier to probably wholesale it in the sense of showing it, because you don't have to worry about a seller standing there, show it or whatever. You drive by it and look at it, unless it's next to the seller's house or something. or something of that nature. So, but the process would be the same. Put it on the contract, find a buyer at a higher price, put it on the contract, and close on it. But land is so much speculation in compared to houses. But it's done all the time. Trust me, it is. It's just nothing I've never focused on. Monica said, okay, because I missed out on a deal once the buyer seen my fee. That was somebody, Monica, that you didn't want to deal with anyway. The idea is to deal with buyers that want to buy from you over and over again. If I sniff out a guy that doesn't like how much I'm making, then I don't want to deal with them. You know, you're not the only person that buys. You know, I'll make that clear. You have to understand it. Just like you're not the only person wholesaling, they're not the only buyers out there. So if they didn't buy because they didn't like how much, you should have just found another buyer. Now, sometimes it's not as simple as doing that, but that's what you should have tried to do. I'm not sure if you did that, but that's what you should have tried to do. So again, if you posted a question before and I didn't get to it, you probably need to post it again. Again, remember, I'm on iTunes, guys. If you have an Apple phone or iPad or whatever, you can just do a search for the Flip Man on iTunes. Try to get as much of my content up there over the next few weeks and months from YouTube. So you can listen to podcast, the Flip Man's podcast on iTunes, and will eventually be on Stitcher also for Android users. Yeah, Sharon says, are you aware closings.com website is gone? Yeah, what happened is the site got hacked and I just never did put it back up, you know, so then I have it on a few videos. So and I started to take those videos down because I hate for people to go to stuff that I don't have available anymore. But those are some of the videos that I thought were really important for my channel. So whenever that question comes up, that's the answer, you know, because that's what happened. Andrew says, it won't let me post. I'm not sure what that means, Andrew. De Niro something. So with the two contracts, do I need to be sure to line up the closes around the same time and day? Yeah, you know, if possible, you want the buyer to come in first, and maybe the seller to come in 2 hours later. A lot of times that's not possible. So a lot of times the closing is set up to fit everyone's schedule. So that's 2 o'clock. That means the seller needs to show up, the buyer needs to show up, and you need to show up at that time frame. So yeah. Have you ever backed out of a contract with the option period? Say if the buyer or backup buyer couldn't close, what did you say as a reason to back out of the owner? Depending on the deal, but I couldn't come up with the money. That's not a lie. So that's it. They keep your earnest money. And that's how that works. That was Jeremy Collins who made that question that I was answering. Jim Tim says he can't post. I'm not sure what that means. I'm seeing the post. Everett Giles says, could you do a double close to avoid the buyer finding out what you made? Yeah, but why? Why? Again, I don't want to deal with a buyer that cares what I make. It's about building relationships. You want buyers that buy over and over again from you. That's what keeps you going in this business. Now, you always want to be adding new buyers, but you need to have buyers that you can go to, a group of buyers you go to and do deals with. And so they can't be uptight about how much money you're making. You know, you don't want them on your list, period. Andrew Tate said, do you have your own personal closing agent? Well, I have people that I go to. I wouldn't say their own personal. You know, they don't belong to me. I'm not sure what you mean there, but yeah, you know, you build those relationships over time. But a lot of times, you know, your buyers dictate that. The one with all the gold makes the decision. One that called me to sell 4 acres, but I really don't know how to find the value of the land. On something like that, Winston, you just have to go by the tax assessment. Again, land is tough. It can be tough. You know, it just depends on where it is. Wakil said, did someone get that $30,000 building sale? Not yet, not yet. So it's still available. So not yet. Jay Peter says, What do you do if somebody has a house that are selling for 100K and it doesn't need any repairs? That's fine that it doesn't need any repairs, but what is the ARV? Is the ARV 200,000 or is it 120? You know, that factors what is the after repair value. You're confusing what after repair means. It simply means what will the house appraise for in excellent condition. But what will it appraise for if you said it doesn't need any repairs? What will it appraise for? You know, you don't know if you have a deal until you figure out that number. Devin Days, do you use a CRM? No, I'm too unorganized, and I just use the notes in my iPhone to pretty much track everything. It's just the way I am. Not saying it's not a good thing by no means. It's just that I'm just on the go and I just use that. I'm sure some great apps out there or whatever, but I can just track everything in my little notes on my phone. If I lose it, well, I guess it's in the iCloud, so I'll be able to retrieve it. But to answer your question, no, I don't. Jim Tim said ARV on property is 194K. How much would you offer? Without knowing the repairs, it's hard to say, but I try to get what's their least amount. That's the first thing I'm going to try to accomplish. And some people won't give you that. So if they force me into making an offer, I'm probably going to offer 100. If they force half of it, you know, I'm going to be close to it. So half of 194 is just below 100. So I'll just probably keep it at 6 figures so I won't just feel totally embarrassed. Now, I'm not expecting them to accept it, but my follow-up question is, how close can you come to that amount? And we go from there. Rich Allred said, I assume he's saying, I need to connect with you on an apartment complex or commercial buy, okay? Pamela Don says, on your first deal, how did you find your buyer? Well, back then, the newspapers were still viable ways of marketing things through classifieds, which they are not now. It was through a newspaper ad. Andrew says, do you have to bring both contracts to the closing agent? Yeah, they need to see. They need to see that you have a position within the deal. So at some point, they need to see it. Miranda Moorhead says, can I do this method as a virtual deal? Yeah, if you have a buyer and seller in place, you know, most definitely. It's not going to be quite as easy because it may be difficult to keep the buyer and seller apart when the buyer wants to see the property. But yeah, Monica, getting ready to put a 9-unit apartment under contract. What should the cap rate be to make it a good deal? Well, you know, that's going to be different, Monica. You have to depend on where it is. If it's an A, B, C, D property, all that stuff factors in. Well, what would be a good cap rate? So that's too vague of a question, but I'm sorry I couldn't be a little bit more specific for you, but you're leaving out some details that are important. I guess this is Jaceel Carrera. What you do the first contract A to B, what do you give your earnest money deposit to the homeowner or the title company? If it's only $10, I'll just give it to them. You know, sometimes that's cash. I'll just give it to them and write $10 cash there on the agreement. If it's 50, I may still give it to them. If it's 100, I still may give it. It just depends. Rich Allred says, connect with me. Not sure what that means. Jim Tim says, oh yeah, they said, remember Jim Tim, I'm going to get that third. I get it, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. Anthony Bogart, all right, says, tie in a deal where a buyer wants to use the agent, but they don't understand the wholesaling process and don't want you on the HUD, but on a separate agreement. How assured will you get your fee? It won't work. That won't work. Unless he wants to give me the money before we go to closing. Other than that, you know, that won't work, Anthony. It just won't. You know, that's the only way you ensure you get paid. You got to be in the paperwork. That's it. Carissa Harding says, are pre-foreclosures good to do deals with? And have you done deals doing this? I've done pre-foreclosures, but not in the way that you think it's for short sales. And I guess technically it's not in that sense. I think I did one short sale, and it's still one of the way people normally do short sale, because they basically, we called them and asked them for a payoff. They gave it to us the same day. Normally short sales will take 30, 60 days just to get an answer back from the bank of a price that still may not work. So technically no, but I've done deals obviously where people were buying payments and it still was a great deal. So technically that's a pre-foreclosure, but not in the sense of short sales, if that's what you mean. Rich RS says, can I call you? Yeah, I put my number out there. Yes, sir. Andrew Tate said, who does the earnest money deposit go to? If you're talking about the buyer, sometimes they'll give it to you. Sometimes they'll place it with an attorney or title company or escrow or whatever. If it's with a seller, if it's $10, I'll just give it to them. You know, it's just $10. If it's 50, I may still give it to them. If it's 100, I still make it. It just depends on how comfortable I am with the person and how enthusiastic I am about the deal. Now, what I probably would advise you to do, if you want to just keep things right, the $10 you probably get to them, maybe even the 50, but the 100, I would probably give that to a title company or something. But you know, only when I have a deal in motion. So again, it still just depends on how attractive the deal is, because some will be a lot more attractive than others. So that's going to be a judgment call of your own. Some of this stuff is going to be on how you want to do it. You can't always go by how I do it, because I'm a little renegade sometimes. So I'll tell you the right thing to do, then I'll tell you what I may do. Someone says, do you ever use VAs? No, not really. You'd have to tell me what would it be for. I can tell you why I may not use it, or why I probably should be using it. Rich Alice says, I can offer 10%, or what do you expect? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Rich. You got to be a little bit more, explain a little bit more, Rich, if possible. Gerald Dealworth, is it better to do a double closing so the seller won't know what you made off the deal? They know you're not doing this for free. I don't care that they see what I make on it. They just don't care, people. I'm telling you, all worrying about the wrong thing. Find a great deal, find a buyer for it, close it. You're worrying about the wrong thing. That's prevented so many people from doing deals, worrying about what they think sellers are going to think about it, what they think buyers are going to. They don't care, man. I'm telling you, they don't care. They do not care. They're getting what you agreed upon. They know you're not doing this for free. So what is an acceptable amount for you to make? Tell me. Sharon Duber said, I didn't hear the answer to this. Do you have to bring both contracts to closing? Please answer again. Yeah, the title company or the closing attorney needs to see both contracts. So they're not going to bring them to closing. They'll already be there before they put the closing together. Does your contract, Jacio Carrera, does your contract work in South Florida? It works everywhere. It works there, just a simple one-page contract. Understand this, I'm not an attorney, number one, but you and a seller can literally write up a contract on their kitchen table. If you're not performing anything illegal, that's a binding agreement. You know, now it may not be as fancy as some of the other stuff you'll see. So there's no standard contract, you know, for a transaction, because it's really what the seller and the buyer, whatever product or service, what you all agree upon, again, as long as you're not performing anything illegal. And you saying you're going to buy a house as is, and at this price on this date, there's nothing illegal about that. So what if the seller won't give you their lowest offer and ask you to make an offer first? How do you make the offer without bidding too high? Well, you're going to make an offer, and that's going to be a different threshold for different people, but you're going to make an offer that should embarrass you. That's what I would suggest to you, is to make an offer that you feel horrible about. Normally, that's a good indicator you've made an offer low enough. Now, you're not expecting them to accept it, but you're getting them in the right frame of mind that, hey, if you keep pussyfooting around, you don't want to give me an offer. You want the house is worth 200. Here's 100. Okay. Now they may hang up on you. That's fine. You probably want to do a deal anyway. You haven't lost anything. but they say, hey, I can't take that. Your follow-up question, as I said before, how close can you come to that amount? Again, your goal is to find out what their least amount is. If it's a number you can work with, boom, move forward. If it isn't, thank them for their time. Let them know, hey, if anything changes, I'll give you a call back. Anthony Steiner says, need info for coaching live in Maryland. Just call or text me tomorrow, Anthony. I'll be happy to share that freight with you. Vedetta 32. Can you explain the two closings again with both contracts in place? Well, the seller is going, well, if you got both contracts in place, you're going to submit, whoever's closing the deal, if someone you've never dealt with before, you find out who the contact person is there that the buyer deals with. So you would email what the buyer may have already done his contract, but you'll email over both contracts with an explanation of, I call it a closing detail sheet, but it's as simple as who's getting paid what, who's the seller, who's the buyer, the price of the house, the address, what the assignment fee is, what earnest money has already been paid, and who's paying closing. That's it. They have any questions, you can explain it to them in more detail. I hope that's what you were asking for. Once how do you find the price for your course? Flipman.net. What you see in the background there, flipman.net behind me. All right, Kevin Jeter says, what's up, Ty? I started learning wholesaling about a month ago, paid for my first list 2 weeks ago, and I'm seeing 2 houses tomorrow that look like good deals. I'm a little nervous with earnest money talk. You don't talk it. You don't present a contract tomorrow. You simply get their email address or fax number and send them over a contract with the earnest money amount on it. If they have a question about it, that's when you discussed it. And they say, well, I don't know if I can accept $10 or whatever. You ask them, well, what would be an acceptable amount? And you go from there. That can be a deal breaker for you. If you can't, they say, I need $500. If you don't want to pay that, that'll be just like if they didn't give you the right price. So, the terms are just as important as the price. So you got to have all of that, this stuff. And remember this, people. Remember this. Some of this stuff I repeat, I just keep repeating because it is what it is. This stuff only works and works well if they have to do it the way you want to do it. Control. They don't want to do it the way you want to do it. Next. There's too many opportunities out there. I know you're nervous and you want to do a deal, but it ain't gonna matter anyway. If they don't want to do it the way you want to do it, you don't have anything. So do it the way you want to do it, your way or the highway. Which the name of the highway is next. All right, so let's see what Andrew is saying here. How do you let them know you're wholesaling the property without offending them? Letting who know that you're wholesaling? If you're talking about a seller, that should never even come up. It doesn't matter where the money is coming from. Just like you're struggling, you're asking tons of questions, and you're actively trying to learn how to do this. Imagine trying to explain this to someone in 5 minutes. They're not going to want to deal with you. It is not important, people. They do not care. They do not care. All they want is the money that you agreed upon. Do never try to get into explaining that. You are a cash buyer. You buy as is. You pay all closing costs. You close in 2 to 4 weeks. That answers pretty much all of their questions. How do you prevent a buyer from going around you even though you signed a contract with them? Well, if you just a buyer going around you. Now, remember that you got to have both people to be involved in the seller and the buyer. Most sellers are not going to operate like that. Not saying it can't happen, but if you're fear that, you can do a memorandum of contract, go record it. So, that's your answer. Virginia says, I've been doing mainly driving for dollars, but unable to find any phone numbers. So I need to send out letters. Please tell, how do you word the letter you send out? It's very simple, Virginia. You simply say, hello, Mr. Seller. I'm interested in the property I am interested in buying the property at 123 Main Street. We pay all cash and we close quickly. If you are interested in selling this property, please contact me. Also, if you have any other properties that you're interested in selling, please also contact me. Well, to that degree, now that's off the top of my head, so you can clean the grammar up in that, and then you're just your contact information. So it's just that simple. Keep it simple and sweet, and just what you want. Just tell them just what you want. You want to buy the property. Andrew says is a closing agent and real estate agent. They could be the same people, but normally not. A closing agent could have a real estate license or whatever, but normally not. Jeremy says he don't know if I answered his question about if you should back out of the option period. What should you say? I did answer that, Jeremy. Justine says, what supplier do you use for banner signs? Currently, the date of this video, Dirt Cheap Signs, they have a website, dirtcheapsigns.com, but I recommend that you call them. They offer students and non-students a 5% discount if you tell them you know me, which is Ty, that's T-Y, and there's not much, but it'll add up over time. If you can find a better rate, obviously, but they'll be a good starting point as far as pricing. But yeah, Dirt Cheap Signs, and don't want to order online. You want to actually call and speak to Curtis or Christina. So go to the website and to get their number. Kevin G, the ARV is $150,000. You're asking $69,000. Repairs $20,000 to $25,000. Okay, all right, that's a good example, Kevin. So basically, with repairs. And so that's 70. We'll just say basically 95,000, and that's 55 left. You hadn't got paid yet. No closing costs have been paid. That's probably going to be a deal. You may be able to squeeze another, put 10 in your pocket on a deal like that. So yeah, I would be all over it. I'll probably try to get a little cheaper, but just the way it sits, yeah, that appears to be an opportunity. All right, James Mill says, when you're putting out signs, do you try to place them in the business intersections? Yes and no. You do some of that. You don't want to do all your signs like that in fear of them all coming down. So you have to be creative. You want to try to get as much attention as possible for as long as possible. So to get the life out of signs, sometimes you have to go off the beaten path. But it's important that they're always at stop signs or traffic lights. They need to stop, give you an opportunity to have your message read. So you just have to think outside the box. Drive-throughs, large shopping center parking lots. Just have to think outside the box, man, off of exits. Because you don't get life out of signs, it's hard to get any true benefit from banner signs. I want to do a couple of more here. Do you ever wholesale fire damage properties? Thanks, by the way. This is very helpful info. Appreciate it, Flip Man. I appreciate you, Jacille, for showing up. But to answer your question, I did one back in December. What did I make? I think I only made 30. A little over $3,000. It was a hard sale too. But it was in a neighborhood where the house was only about 6 years old. It was in a brand new subdivision. But they were pretty stubborn on the price or whatever. But I got it done. Guy bought it. It was a hard sale, but I got it done. Mine's are two more. What is I may do it. Let's see. What is an earnest cost dumbed down? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Andrew. What is an earnest cost dumbed down? I guess you mean earnest money, down payment? Yeah. Andrew, you're in the right place, man. I got 200 videos to explain all of this stuff. You need to just dive into my channel, just subscribe and just dive in. I'm not sure what you meant by that, though. Let's see. SD the Barber. Since you have been doing this for a while, have you bought properties cheap, fixed them up yourself and resold, or is that something that you're not interested in? Yes, I have done that, and done it with some success and done it with some more failure, because I got caught in the late 2007, 2008 mortgage fiasco, whereas a lot of people say we're in this recession and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people were still going to their same job, making their same money. You really didn't feel it. I felt it. I had 7 houses when that happened that I was paying for hard money on buy, fix, and flips. I got killed. And I was at a closing table when I realized it was happening. The deal didn't happen because the mortgage company closed down. The hard money company closed down right there at the closing table. We're not funding any more deals. I was ready to pick up a $13,000 check. So yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, I've done that. Not in that mode now. I don't know if I ever get back in that mode on the housing side of the game, but obviously money can be made there. Obviously, it's just not my thing. Too much risk. You know, I'm not the most organized person. So, all right. Ask how much. I don't know what this means. I guess he told him to ask a question for him. Ask how much earnest money the realtor would give them if they list the property. I guess you mean how much would the realtor expect? Normally they're going to expect at least 1,000. You make it get away with 500, you know, whatever. So, all right. So Andrew Tate says, so who is a closing agent? How do you find them? You don't worry about that. What you need to do, Andrew, the first thing you need to do on this Flippinar ends, do a search on YouTube for, if you haven't already watched it, 5 mistakes newbies should avoid wholesaling houses. 5 mistakes newbies should avoid wholesaling houses. That's a recent video that I did. I think you should watch that. Rich already said, I want your attention. I have 500 toward your project. Okay, Rich, my phone number, man. Just holler at me, 205-492-3425. My number's all over the place, man. Invest in Homes 404. What are your thoughts on yellow letters versus just sending a letter? I just sort of send a letter, but it's the way I send it. But anything works. I just believe in action. You know, now if you want to say I choose one over the other, if you're doing a yellow letter, it's all about getting noticed. So obviously, if you do a yellow letter where it's handwritten, as far as the letter envelope itself, you're going to get noticed more so than just a normal letter. So it's all about getting noticed. According to studies, most people sort their mail over the trash can. So you try not to make the trash can. That's the name of the game. But as I said, I do a little different. You know, I teach students to do a little different. Someone says, what about car magnets for marketing? Yes, again, it's all about getting noticed now, but I wouldn't do car magnets on the side of your doors. What you need to do, what I would recommend, I'm not sure what type of car you have, but you may want to consider what they call window perfs. And basically, it's a design that goes on the rear of your window. You want to be in the rear. See, if you're on the side of a car, people in traffic, they may not see your message. But if it's in the rear of your car, they're forced to see your message. So if you're going to do any type of car signage, it needs to be in the rear. Whether it's if it's on the SUV, you have the flat surface on the back. It may be magnetic. You can put a sign there. But if you do a window perf allows the message to be seen on the outside. But the people on the inside, they can see out of the image. Any sign shop and pretty much any market can give you quotes on those. So that's what I would recommend. I'm not sure what the J. Peter King 33. Andrew Tate says, thank you for everything. No problem, Andrew. Just check out my videos, man. A lot of your questions, well, pretty much all your questions will be answered there. Monica says, thank you. And thank you, Monica, for joining. So I answered the question about the car magnet. So I'll answer this last question. Jeremy Collins said, Andrew is asking you to explain earnest money in layman's term. Basically, it's like a down payment. I hate to use that term, but in layman's term, it's basically saying you write up a contract with a seller, or if a buyer's writing up a contract with you, basically they're saying, hey, this is good faith, a down payment. I'm going to give you this whatever the number is. We're going to say $10 in this case, which is not a lot of money, but there's no amount or whatever. But it's saying, hey, I'm going to perform. I'm going to buy this property. That's basically what it is. That's what earnest money, that's the best way I can explain it in street terms or whatever. Hey, I'm going to give you some money to show you that I'm serious. Now, $10 doesn't show that I'm really serious, but you know, these people are motivated to sell. You're buying it as is, you're getting it cheap. So they don't have anything to lose in reality. So, you know, this profit is not an asset in their mind anymore. It's a problem. So you're the problem solver. Now, on the flip side, you know, you want to know if the buyer is serious, or you may require $1,000. So he's saying, I'm going to give you $1,000 to show you that I'm serious, and we're going to sign this paperwork to move forward. So hopefully that explains what earnest money is. Thanks, Ely. Yeah, you're right. He says I needed to know everything I needed to know is inside Flipman's free videos on his channel. If you haven't checked them out, today is a great day to start. It's a mountain of free information. I couldn't have said it better, man. Couldn't have said it better. Sharon says thanks. Thank you, Sharon, for showing up. So boom. So we're gonna rock and roll and get out of here. But I'll see you guys on next week. Again, share this. It's going to come down. Then I'll put it back up. So I would love for you to share this on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever. And but definitely show back up next week. And whatever you do, you'll put things in motion, man. Don't be afraid to take action. Everything. If you can't afford to pay me, everything you need is here right on the channel for free. You know, so. This is not brain surgery, but it does take work to do it, you know. So again, I appreciate everyone that showed up this week, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully I can come up with a topic that'll help you guys out. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the flip side.